Hello guys, ready for the next lesson? Here we go. Today our topic is going to be solving literal equations. I know during the school year this was one of the most difficult or confusing topic because you always expect to get a number as an answer, and in this case you're not going to be able to get a number because the equation here has more than one variable. Okay, so remember, literal equations involve more than one variable. So let me just traduce this to my Spanish speaking students. Muchachos, el tema de hoy se llama resolviendo ecuaciones literales. Me acuerdo que durante el año escolar este tema fue un poco confuso para ustedes porque ustedes están acostumbrados a resolver ecuaciones y encontrar como respuesta un número. En este caso, ustedes no pueden encontrar números exactos como respuestas porque este tema involucra más de una variable. Por lo tanto, no pueden darme una respuesta numérica, ¿ok? Puede ser que haya números con variables juntas como respuesta. So, pongan atención, por favor. Okay, guys? So now we're going to do as a warm-up. Remember, because this lesson, I modified the lesson, but I'd rather to do, like a little warm-up just to refresh your mind, okay? And so you can actually see how we're going to transition from something that you know to something that you are going to learn now. So I'm asking you on the warm-up, I'm giving you two problems. The first problem, both problems says solve for x. So en los dos problemas tenemos que despejar o encontrar el valor de x. So this one is two-step equations, okay? Una ecuación de dos pasos. So what do we do first? We move the constant to the other side, okay? So the constant here is 5, okay? This is the constant. That means what is called constant because it doesn't have a variable, okay? So because this 5 is being added, so we're gonna do subtraction in both sides, okay? So we perform our first step, cancel the 5's, and we have 2x left equals 20. Now my second step is divide by 2, okay? So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I only have the x left. Remember that the one is imaginary one is also automatically in front of the variable. And if I divide 20 by 2, I get 10. So notice here, you got a number as value. That means that x equals 10. If I substitute this x for 10, this side of the equation has to be equal to that. And take a look at that. 2 times 10 is 20 plus 5 is 25. So you see it works. Now take a look at this one. In this problem, you can solve for x, but you're not going to find an answer like this one. So in the classroom, all right, if you would have been in the classroom, you will have this example here for you to use as a reference so you can solve the problem B for the warm-up. So the first thing you do is this. Because I'm solving for x, I need to eliminate the 2 and I have to eliminate a. A in this case is like the same thing I did with the 5 here. So because the 5 is the constant here, I'm going to consider here, even though it's a variable, it's an unknown value, but I'm going to treat that as if it was the constant. So in this case, I'm going to move the a to the other side, okay? And what happens? Because it's plus, that will become minus a in both sides. Now you will have 2x equals c minus a. Remember, you cannot add those up because c and a are different terms, different variables. So you just write it as a subtraction, okay? Now, to eliminate the 2, we divide everything, okay, in both sides by 2. So there it is, that will be your answer. So the answer for this one, it has to be x equal c minus a over 2. That will be the answer. So that's the kind of problem we're going to work in today, okay? We want to work in isolated variables, but you won't get an answer like that. Your answer has to be something like that, that involve numbers and variables. So let me just be quick and explain this to my students in Spanish. Okay, guys, Este paso de aquí ustedes lo pueden hacer absolutamente sin ningún problema porque es una ecuación de dos pasos, ¿ok? Primero se eliminan la constante y luego eliminan el término que está añadido a la variable. En este caso ustedes ven que en vez de un número, aquí yo puse otra variable, o sea, otra letra. Estas dos, contrario a este, donde tengo valores o números exactos, aquí tengo letras que son variables y todas esas variables son diferentes, solo los valores tienen que ser diferentes. Pero la pregunta es que despeje la X. Cuando estoy despejando la X, el proceso va a ser el mismo, ¿ok? Voy a asumir que la A es como el 5. Voy a hacer lo mismo que hice con el 5 con la A. Por lo tanto, como era positiva, la hice menos, viajó. Cuando elimino las A aquí, solamente me quedan 2X, igual a C menos A. Lo van a escribir en ese orden. No escriban A menos C, es C menos A porque la resta no es conmutativa. Luego dividen entre 2 para eliminar el 2, entonces todo lo del otro lado también se divide entre 2. Pero como ustedes no pueden dividir C entre 2 y A entre 2 porque no saben el valor de C y de A, simplemente escribo una respuesta con las letras así como aparece ahí. La X me queda sola, que sería igual a C menos A sobre 2. Esa sería la respuesta. Todos los problemas que vamos a hacer de ahora en adelante tienen que terminar con números y variables o solo con variables. Pero no le va a quedar un valor solo porque si el tema es ecuaciones literales, quiere decir que tiene que tener más de una variable o más de una letra. Vemos ahora inglés. Okay guys, now that I did my part in Spanish too, everything else that I'm going to do is going to be in English because I already explained to you the process, okay, in both languages. So now we're going to do the rest of the lesson in English. I might throw some Spanish, but I'm not going to be too specific on that, right? So look, this is a example that I have for you here, okay? So just one thing, what I said before, literal equations are solved using the same methods as any other equation. So if you have something like this, you're still going to do the same process as if you were solving multi-step equations, all right? So I give you the example here and I ask you to solve for x in terms of P, Q, and R. That means, guys, everything in few words, what I'm saying is to leave the x alone, okay, in that side, whatever side is presented. So in this case, the original equation is C equals 8x plus B. Okay, so remember, if I have to isolate the x, I have to eliminate the A and I have to eliminate the B. But remember, the A, because it's attached, is the last one that I'm going to touch. So I'm going to start moving the B, and because that's plus, I will make a minus. See what I mean? It doesn't matter where the variable is, okay? So you're still going to keep the variable in that side, okay? And when you perform the operation, you will write C minus B, okay, no B minus C, it's in this order, equal 8x. Then divide by A, and this is how your answer will end up. X equals to that. Now, this answer is correct, but because you are used to seeing, okay, the X in the left side, so you can just switch it, and nothing's going to change because you already have the two sides equal to each other, okay? So that's basically what we're doing. So let's get to work. And I'm always start with the simple problems, the easiest one. So problem number 1, solve for x. That means if I want to leave the x alone, the a has to disappear. Now, because the a is attached to the x, that means that they're being multiplied. So what do I do to eliminate multiplication? So we divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by a. So my answer here, x equals 7 over 8. That should be my answer. Okay? One step. See, one step equation. This is just like, now we're going to do two-step equation. No, still one step, because the question here is solve for x. So that means that the x in this case doesn't have any number. Well, it has the 1 attached, but we know that, right? That is automatically 1 there. So the only thing I have to do is move the 2a to the other side, all right? Now, because this is positive, I'm going to do it minus. And I'm going to do the same thing in the right side. So my 2a's cancel out, and I will have x equals, remember, don't do 6 minus 2 and write as an answer 4a. No, this one has a variable, that doesn't have a variable. So you just write it separate. You would write it as 6 minus 2a. So let me just address this in Spanish. Muchachos, Cuando llegamos a este punto aquí, no resten 6 menos 2 y me ponen como respuesta 4a, porque es incorrecto. Estos dos no son términos semejantes, porque la 6 es un constante, porque no tiene variable, y el 2a, bueno, el 2 tiene a, que ya lo hace términos diferentes. Por eso simplemente lo escribo como una resta 6 menos 2a. Tengan mucho cuidado, ¿ok? All right, let's go back to number 3. Number 3 now, remember, we're solving for x. So what we do here, you see, we have like terms in both sides. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine this first. 9x plus 4x gives me what? 13x. Don't do minus 4x, minus 4x. You don't do that because neither one of the terms are going to travel to the other side. They already in the same side. So just perform the operation as it looks. So 6 plus 4 is 13x. Equals, same thing here. 3a minus 2a, you will have 1a. You do not have to put the 1 because it's automatically there. But if you put it, it won't hurt you. Now, the x still not alone. But now what happened? The 13 is attached to the x. This means multiplication. Therefore, we have to divide both sides by 13. So my value of x, equals 8 over 13. Okay, that's the letter A, it's not number 9. Let me write it over here. A equals, my bad, x equals 8 over 13. So that should be the answer for number 3. Oh, and that was the answer for number 2. Okay? Now, this one is a little tricky because we haven't factored yet. But I don't think I give you something like this in the homework. But remember, if we're solving for x, you think to yourself, well, these two have x's. They like terms. But what happened? This value of n can be any number. So I cannot say 3nx. That's impossible because n can be any number. So what we do in this case is this, guys. I don't think for year 1 we factor, but with year 2 we spend a lot of time in factorization. So what we have to here is factor what they have in common, okay? So in this case, what they have in common is the x. So we have to factor the x. We want to take the x out. Let me rephrase this in Spanish, please. Niños, los de álgebra 1 no vimos factorización, pero los de álgebra 2 sí. Y en álgebra 2 creo que nos llevamos un buen tiempo factorizando, porque es un tema muy difícil. So, lo que vamos a hacer entonces es factorizar, o sea, quitar lo que los dos términos tienen en común, ¿ok? So, en este caso, lo que tienen en común es la x. Por lo tanto, vamos a sacar la x. Ustedes se van a dar cuenta, se van a recordar, ¿ok? So, let's go back to English. So, what I was saying before is that we have to factor. To factor, we have to take away the term that they both have in common. If you notice, the common term here is x. So, if I remove the x from that binomial, what would I have left? I will have left the n, and I will have left the 3. Okay? Because this is the reverse of distributing property. If I multiply this, x times n, I will get nx. If I multiply x times 3, I will get 3x. So when you have something like this, that's called factorization. So you just take away what they have in common. Equals 2k. So now, because I want to leave the x alone, and the x is being multiplied by this, so what I'm going to do is divide both sides by n plus 3. Okay, so this n plus 3 and the n plus 3 cancels out. So my answer is x equals, okay, because I have the x left, 2k divided by n plus 3. Okay. So aquí lo que hice fue que le quité la x a los dos términos. Si yo le quito la x, o sea, la saco, ¿qué es lo que me queda? Me quedaría nada más la n y el 3. Por eso es que me queda n más 3. Luego la x se está multiplicando con esto, por lo tanto, yo puedo dividir automáticamente entre n menos 3 para que me quede la x sola. Solo que hice aquí, lo hice allá. ¿Ok? Ahora, aquí yo no puedo hacer nada porque, como les digo, no sé el valor de k, no sé el valor de n. Eso simplemente escribo la respuesta con todos esos números y letras. Ahora miren en las 5. Se las puse juntas porque quiero que entiendan la diferencia. En las 5 vamos a despejar la n, ¿ok? So en las 5, miren lo que pasa, muchachos. Ya yo les di, se lo doy en esta forma. Yo sé que muchos de ustedes van a multiplicar, pero si ustedes multiplican, ¿qué va a pasar? Van a terminar con esto. Y eso no es la idea, ¿ok? La idea es simplemente tratar de convertir esa variable a una sola para poder eliminarla. Okay, guys, look, this one is similar to that one, but now I'm giving it to you in this format. I know that most of you are going to multiply, they're going to distribute. And that will be wrong because you don't have to multiply. We need to leave the n alone. So look what I did here. I needed to leave the x alone. So I divided by n plus 3 and the x was alone. Here I cannot do the same thing. If I divide by m plus r, I will leave the m alone. And I'm not solving for m, I'm solving for n. So the first thing I have to do is going to be, since the m is being multiplied by this binomial, what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide by m. Okay? So my m cancel out, and I will have n plus r equals, I'm going to do my s like that because my s looks like a 5. I don't want you guys to get confused, okay? And that will give me s over m. See, now I don't need the parentheses because I eliminated the m. So what I'm going to do now, since I need to leave the n alone, I'm going to move the r to the other side by subtracting it. So when I subtract r from both sides, I have my n alone. So n equals, now be careful when you write it, okay? Remember, this is my s over m minus r. That's how we write the answer. But then again, I think the homework I really did it pretty easy, so it's not going to be as difficult as this, but I just want to make sure, okay, you get exposed to all types of problems. Now, this one, we're going to do proportions tomorrow, but I'm going to introduce it from today because a lot of you remember this. When you have a number or variable on this side alone, and you have a fraction on the other side, what I always recommend is to put this over 1. Remember, we're solving for x, so we have to eliminate the 5, we have to eliminate the m, and we have to eliminate the n. So if I make this a fraction, I can create a proportion. So I can multiply this with that, okay? And I can multiply this with that. So let's do it. So I multiply p times 5, I will get 5p, okay? Don't write p5, guys, because you always want the number in front of the variable, okay? No escriban p5, siempre escriban 5p. Siempre queremos que el número vaya enfrente de la variable. Now, equals, cuando multiplique 1, por esto me va a dar este mismo término, porque todo número multiplicado por 1 me da lo mismo, okay? So when I multiply this part here times 1, I still gonna get the same thing because anything multiplied by 1 is the same thing. So I will have here m parenthesis x plus n. And that is just like the one we did before. You see this? The m is outside, and instead of n, I have x. Exactly the same process. Because I'm looking for x, I have to divide by m. Listen, if I have to solve for m, then I will divide by x plus n, so I can leave the m alone. But I'm solving for x. So whatever is inside, if I ask you to solve for x or for n, you still have to divide for m because you have to eliminate the m first. So I'm going to divide both sides by m, and I will have 5p over m, right? Equals x plus n. And since I'm solving for x, I'm going to subtract n in both sides, right? So I will have, just be careful how you write your answer, 5p over m minus n equals x. That should be your answer. Again, I'm not giving you anything that difficult in the homework, okay? But it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, we have a few more problems to do, okay? And these ones are on the back. It has to do with formulas. Guys, formulas is easy. This one right here, the first formula that I'm giving you is the circumference. Circumference of a circle equals pi times d. Esta fórmula, muchachos, es el de la circunferencia de un círculo y se encuentra multiplicando el diámetro por el valor de pi. Okay, so now I'm asking you to solve for d. So that means that if I want d alone in that size, p has to move to this side. And because p is being multiplied times d, so I'm going to divide both sides. Okay, I'm saying p because we say p in Spanish, but actually it's supposed to be pi. So if we divide by pi, then that means that c over pi equals d. And that should be my answer. Or you can write d equals c over pi. Same thing, all right? Now, number 8. This is part of the surface area of a cylinder. Esta es la parte lateral de un cilindro. So, si les preguntan que encuentre el área lateral de un cilindro, esta es la fórmula. So, for the English people, this is the surface area of the lateral side of a circumference. I mean, of a cylinder, I'm sorry. That means only the tube instead of the top and the bottom, okay? Because a cylinder is something like this, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but you know, a cylinder is like one of those paper towels. The tube where the paper towel comes in. So the surface area of a cylinder is everything will be this size right here, and the circumference of a circle. So, but now this formula pertains only to the part over here. So, if I ask you to solve for r, remember, this is r. I want to leave r alone. Easy, because all these numbers, all this means multiplication. So 2 times pi times r times h equals s. So if everything is being multiplied and I only want the r to be alone, what it means is I can divide by 2 pi h. So I can leave the r by itself. Same thing here, 2 pi h. So 2 goes with the 2, pi with pi, h with h, and I have r left. So my answer should be s divided by 2 pi h equals r. Or you can write it the other way around, it's the same thing. Okay, remember what I said before. If I ask you, if I give you a problem like this, okay, if I give you a variable in this side or a number alone in this side, and on the other side you have a fraction, just put a 1 underneath and create a proportion. Because now we need to solve for t. But remember, t here is in the denominator, so you have to do an extra step. So if I multiply this times that, and I multiply 1 times this. So obviously, if I multiply r times t, I will get rt equals d times 1 equals d. Now, because I'm solving for t, that means that I have to multiply both sides by r. So this is my answer. It's the same process as regular equation. The only thing is you're not going to end up with a whole number as an answer. You're going to end up with another expression. Okay, same thing here. We need to solve for h. Remember, that's a variable alone. Just put a 1 underneath and cross multiply. Multiply this times that and multiply that times that. So a times 2 will give you 2a equals 2bh. I'm sorry, mala mia, my bad. The 2 doesn't go here. Forgive me. Just equals bh. But now, because I need to leave the h alone, I'm going to divide both sides by b. So my b cancels out. So my answer should be h equal to a over b. Well, you're getting the hint? So tomorrow when we do proportions, you're going to feel much better, I'm sorry. Put a 1 underneath. If you multiply v times 3, you're going to get 3v. And that's going to be, I'm sorry. See, at the end, I'm losing it. So you have bh here, okay? because you will multiply this one times that. Now, because I'm leaving the b alone, I have to divide everything by h, so my h cancel out. So b equals 3b over h. And the last one, and we'll be finished. Cross multiply, we're solving for x. That will give me a x b equal c squared, because c times c is c squared. Remember, we multiply variable, the exponents get added, all right? And what do I do next? Since I need to leave the x alone, I'm going to divide by ab. I'm going to divide by ab. So x equals c squared over ab. A cancel that, b with b, and that's my answer. Again, the homework is not that hard. I made it really simple for you guys. So remember, the idea is to leave the variable alone. The variable that I asked for must be alone in that side. Look here, I asked to leave the x alone, b alone, h alone, t alone, okay, d, r. So try to do your best, and I'll see you next lesson. Oh, remember guys, also please remember, you have to log in to the live session every day. If you're in year 1, from 9:30 to 10. If you're in year 2, 11 to 11:30. Thank you and have a nice evening.